From the station putting local first, this is a KTSM 9 News special report. COVID-19 state of emergency.
The city of El Paso stepping up efforts to control the spread of coronavirus.
This afternoon, the city shutting down bars and clubs and taking aim at stores hiking up prices amid panic buying in the borderland. Good evening and welcome to this special edition of KTSM 9 News at 6. I'm Natasha Paloma.
And I'm Daniel Marin. As part of our commitment to you and our community, we are dedicating this hour to the state of the emergency resulting from the spread of coronavirus.
But we are also under a weather authority alert. For a quick check on the storms heading our way, Chief Meteorologist Monica Cortez joins us.
Good evening, everyone. Well, we are under a weather authority alert because of the system that we are expecting to arrive tomorrow. So here's what it looks like as of right now. We do have everything shifting towards the east, so we really don't expect to see much after this. There is another slight storm system towards the south of us trying to develop. If anything, we may continue to see some sprinkles for tonight, but we really don't expect to see much in the form of strong storms. This comes in tomorrow. So here's a look at hour by hour what you can expect going into tomorrow morning. Around 8 o'clock in the morning, you'll see a little bit of a drizzle here for El Paso. Then we move on to 10 a.m. and we have the storm system just east of the El Paso County area. By 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, this system right here is already being produced. We expect to see the stronger storms moving in by then. Strong winds will then begin to pick up, and you can just see another storm developing around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Stronger storms move in by the evening hours. I'm going to tell you exactly how long the storm system will last for the work week coming up a little later in this newscast.
All right, Monica, thank you very much. Some big changes are now in effect that could impact your day-to-day life here in the borderland. This afternoon, El Paso City Council passed an emergency city ordinance. KTSM 9 News reported that Diana Favela joins us now with the ordinance that is shutting down some businesses for more than 30 days.
Although the emergency ordinance will be implemented for the next 30 days, city staff says that anything could be changed or modified depending on the potential spread of COVID-19 in the community. City Council approved extending an emergency declaration for 30 days, pushing council members to review and approve an emergency ordinance calling for the closure of bars, taverns, private clubs, and arcades. It also restricts restaurants to allow only half of its occupancy, only 6 people per table, and tables being spaced 6 feet apart. The ordinance also protects the community against evictions and utility disruptions. It will be put into effect starting today at 8 p.m. and health officials with the city of El Paso say taking these actions are drastic but necessary to keeping the community safe.
The most important thing is to put a space in between us. Social distancing has been proven to be effective in spreading viruses, in stopping the spread of the viruses, and alleviate the sharp curve that we could see if we don't do that.
City staff will also be looking into a stabilization plan which aims to find funding to relieve businesses facing economic challenges during the course of this emergency ordinance. And council is expected to get an update on that plan in 2 weeks. Reporting in downtown El Paso, Tatiana Favela, KTSM 9 News.
All right, thank you, Tatiana. While city leaders work on closing bars and nightclubs, our sister city of Ciudad Juarez is confirming its first case of COVID-19. The Chihuahua State Secretary of Health says it's a 29-year-old man who recently traveled to Italy and other European cities. Health officials say he arrived in the U.S. via Los Angeles before arriving in El Paso and returning to Juarez. The man is now recovering at home. The city taking the emergency steps today less than 24 hours after a new positive case was confirmed. Overall, there are 3 positive cases in El Paso, 2 men in their 40s and a teenage UTEP student. At last check, the city health department says at least 27 people have self-quarantined, with an additional 33 locals that have been tested so far. At this time, there are no reported cases in Las Cruces.
Meantime, Catholics in Las Cruces will have to worship from home starting this weekend. The Diocese of Las Cruces is temporarily suspending several services, including masses. The diocese says it's also suspending weddings, funerals, and baptisms. Classes and group meetings are also suspended. According to the diocese, the pastoral center is transitioning to a limited service operation with many employees working remotely. Now, as for the Catholic Diocese of El Paso, there is a conference call scheduled for the morning to discuss its response to the COVID-19 outbreak. The diocese encourages families to visit its website to access spiritual resources. And while some businesses may be closing their doors as COVID-19 precaution, business is booming for some gun shops. KTSM 9 News reporter Stephanie Shields is live in the newsroom with those details.
That's right. Local gun shops say they've seen an increase in ammunition sales and people going out to buy weapons. The gun stores say they are going to run out soon. According to associates at Gun Central in East El Paso, ammunition's been flying off the shelves. According to store management, many are trying to stock up on their supply because it can take a while for products to ship in from factories overseas, especially with uncertainty over COVID-19 precautions. Others say shelves are clearing out because people are taking steps to protect themselves with the idea that some people may try to steal with a shortage of groceries at the stores.
I do see an increase of sale on firearms, but I think it's more of well, yeah, I guess you could say it's kind of a preparedness thing, but nothing to really worry about. It's just people being ready.
Store owners say distributors and manufacturers are all out of ammunition at this time, saying what they have in the store now is all they have for at least the next 30 days. Gun Central management said it is not implementing any limitations to its customers at this time, despite the limited supply. Live in the newsroom, Stephanie Shields, KTSM 9 News.
All right, Stephanie, thank you very much. And viewers have reached out to us with a lot of questions about COVID-19. We have been reading through as many as we can.
Yeah, you asked, now we're answering, and we are getting into some of the top coronavirus questions we have seen on social media. Here to help us answer those questions is Dr. Armando Mesa, Chief of Infection Diseases at the Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center right here in El Paso. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Mesa. This is a question that I even have. If someone is feeling those symptoms, you know, they have the cough, they have the fever, what steps do they take? Do they go to the ER? Do they call their doctor? Can you walk us through that process?
Yes, of course. The first thing they need to do is to go home, because it is important to contain this infection from spreading out. The second thing they need to do is to call their primary care provider, if they have one, hopefully they have one, so they can get assessed for the need to go and see that provider for getting tested for this infection.
Okay, another question we saw was if you had the coronavirus, do you then have immunity to it as if you had the chicken pox or something like that?
The data so far suggests that that will be the case. However, that doesn't mean that you will be prevented from becoming infected in the first place if you do not receive a vaccine that is not yet available.
Okay, it's been said that COVID-19 is spread by droplets that are breathed in. So why are professionals, medical professionals, stating that these masks are ineffective?
Because the droplets are not the main source for individuals to acquire infections. Our hands are the main source how we can get infected from even a droplet, since this is the way that we touch our face or our mouths, and that's how infections are usually spread.
What can you tell us about those who have had the COVID-19 and have gotten well? What steps have they followed, and what medication have they taken?
There is right now no medication that is being used for clinical application for these patients. They have been able to recover due to a response of their natural immunity. To be able to return to work or to regular daily life, they will have to be tested until they are negative on that testing method.
And Dr. Mesa, if you have symptoms and need to self-isolate, what are some of the best remedies to aid in that recovery? Is a high dose of maybe vitamin C combined with cold and flu medications, does that help?
In general, it does not help other than makes you feel better in general for your symptoms. But your immune system in those individuals who are immune competent, that is that they do not have any chronic illnesses, should be able to resolve their infection on their own.
Doctor, I got a few questions for you. First up, can testing too early give a false negative?
Yes, but we also know that some patients who do not have any symptoms may still have the virus circulating in their body.
And now children have not been as impacted by the virus as older people. Do you think that's going to continue? Why might that be?
Yes, the children have an immune system that is different than in adults. However, the main risk for them is that this infection will spread to vulnerable populations.
Okay, so we know that we should be washing our hands a lot, but should we be disinfecting canned items that you buy at the store, or anything you buy at the store that's plastic, you bring it into your house, do you need to wash it off?
In general, it's a good practice, even though it is unlikely that this virus will survive for a very long time period in those surfaces, but it's a good practice that I would follow.
And one more question for you, since we were just talking about washing hands. We know that we have to do it for 20 seconds, but should we also be washing fruits and vegetables for 20 seconds as well?
That would be very good idea, and use some kind of a product that will be used specifically for that purpose.
All right, Dr. Mesa, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us.
Thank you.
KTSM 9 News is not only keeping you informed on air, but also online through our website and our social media platforms. You can also sign up for alerts sent straight to your phone via our KTSM 9 News app. You can download it from the Apple Store or on Google Play.
As part of our commitment to you to provide the best and most up-to-date information on the spread of the coronavirus, we have expanded our 10 p.m. newscasts. Every night, Sunday through Friday, we are bringing you a full hour of all the day's news along with the latest developments in the fight against COVID-19. So join us every night to see how the virus is impacting our community and how you can keep yourself and those around you safe and healthy. Now, you have probably noticed Natasha and I are not sitting side by side as we have for the past couple of years. It's part of our response to the threat of COVID-19.
Yeah, we want to show you just how we are adjusting our daily routine to the threat of this largely unknown disease. So for now and for the foreseeable future, we will be engaging in social distancing, which health leaders say helps prevent community spread of the coronavirus.
We don't want anyone to panic, but we do want to lead the way on what we should all be doing right now. KTSM 9 News is committed to serving you and serving as an example during these unprecedented times. All right, well, coming up here in this hour, far from home, a pair of standout local athletes with their seasons cut short and now also separated from their loved ones.
Then some local businesses located right here on the border now fearing for their futures.
And we are talking about a stronger storm system making its way into our area. I'm going to tell you exactly when it's going to arrive and how long it'll stick around. Thanks for watching KTSM 9 News at 6.
You're watching KTSM 9 News at 6 with Daniel Marin, Natasha Paloma, Chief Meteorologist Monica Cortez, and Sports with Andy Morgan. If you have a news story, call our hotline now, 915-533-KTSM. Reach us via social media or email us at news@ktsm.com.
KTSM 9 News is stepping up to help keep you and your loved ones safe from COVID-19.
And as part of our commitment to you, we are expanding our 10 p.m. newscast to 1 hour every night.
A full hour to give you the latest developments.
And how your daily life may be impacted.
Well, good evening, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Well, this is what we're looking at as of right now. We are continuing to monitor this particular storm system that came and went earlier today, but don't let that fool you. We have another one on the way. This is the one that's going to be producing the possibility of thunderstorms in our area. Now, here we go. This is what we're looking at as of right now. Everything is shifting out of our region. We are seeing whatever is left from this particular wave moving out of our area, moving east. And so we're going to continue to keep a close eye on it. Here's what it looks like as of right now. Much of it is pretty much out of our area. Las Cruces, you're seeing that isolated storm trying to develop. As for El Paso, here's what you can expect in the next few hours. Hour by hour, you are looking at the possibility of some showers as early as around 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So that's what we're looking at. As we move through the time frame, we're looking at about 10 a.m. the possibility of a small storm trying to develop just east of the El Paso County area. And then we move on into 11 a.m. and you'll notice this line of storms continuing to form and develop. So here's where we get our first real chance to see some rain coming down, and wind will soon begin to pick up. Once that happens, we could potentially see the possibility of hail forming along with this particular storm system. This one coming in around 5 o'clock in the afternoon for El Paso and Las Cruces. And then we move through the area. You'll see a strong storm moving in from the west, and as it continues to push through, you'll see Las Cruces getting hit first, and then El Paso. We'll get to see some rain around 11 o'clock in the evening. This is on Wednesday. Again, the possibility of heavy rainfall, small hail, strong winds, all associated with these storms. As for the rest of today, 65 degrees in El Paso. That was your current temperature, looking at 14 miles an hour as far as winds go. For tonight, 52 degrees, your forecast overnight low in El Paso, 46 in Las Cruces, 44 in Deming. So here's the reason why we're looking at these storms. There's that cold front. This is the trigger we need to get these storms really to develop for our area. A lot of moisture coming in from the south, and that's what's going to allow us to see these storms. 62 degrees, your forecast high for tomorrow. Some windy conditions. We do expect to see winds picking up to 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour in the afternoon hours. 70 degrees for Las Cruces tomorrow, along with a 20% chance of rain. As for that cold front, well, that cold front is expected to move out of our area by Thursday, leaving in that cool air. So that gives us that possibility for some nice conditions Wednesday and once again on Thursday. First day of spring is on Thursday, 63 degrees, your forecast high. Then we'll see beautiful weather coming in Friday, Saturday, Sunday before our next back-to-back windy conditions arrive next week. Real quickly, I do want to give a big shout out to our weather watcher. This is Raul Martinez. Thank you so much for allowing us to see the poppies on the Franklin Mountains. If you'd like to be featured on KTSM 9 News, submit those beautiful weather photos to us through our social media platforms or email news@ktsm.com.
All right, Monica, thank you very much. So COVID-19 in college athletics, there's been a pretty big ripple effect.
You've seen it really, of course, last week with the canceling of conference tournaments, and it turned into the NCAA tournament. We're continuing our panel discussions with both athletic directors Mario Mocha and Jim Sinner from New Mexico State and UTEP, plus a story that you're only going to see on 9, how the coronavirus has affected student athletes not only on the floor but off the floor as well. Sports is next.
And now, KTSM 9 Sports with Andy Morgan. Sponsored by Glasheen Bias and Enderman Injury Lawyers.
The last week has been one of the longest weeks the sports world has ever been through. And the thing is, it hasn't even been a week since we started to see mass cancellations that has left us with basically nothing. The coronavirus pandemic has taken its toll and affected athletes across the globe. And for 2 local college basketball players that had their seasons cut short, the effects stretched thousands and thousands of miles away. Seeing your college career come to an end is never easy, but it was especially tough for seniors Katarina Zetz out of UTEP and New Mexico State's Ivana Orecoechea, who saw their careers come to an end with the cancellation of last week's conference tournaments in college basketball due to COVID-19.
Think about that a couple of weeks ago against CBU here was my last game with my family. Was a big hit for me.
Thursday and Friday were really chaotic, but as like now, Sunday, Monday, when all my teammates went home.
To be denied the opportunity to play for an NCAA tournament berth is one thing, but Zetz and Orecoechea have been affected beyond basketball by the coronavirus. They're both unable to go back home right now because of the travel ban to Europe. Zetz is from Serbia, Orecoechea is from Spain.
The things back home are bad, and the new thing that come out about they cancel the flights between Europe and America right now is something that half my family is scary.
The international students took it the hardest because, you know, we're not that close to home and it's just really complicated to go back. So we're kind of in between right now. Should we stay? Should we go? We don't really know, but of course we have limitations to it.
Now, both Zetz and Orecoechea have aspirations to play professionally, but even that is complicated right now, staying in basketball shape while remaining safe from the spread of COVID-19. And with that, I'd like to introduce our panel to extend the conversation we're having about the coronavirus and college athletics, which has been really at the epicenter of all this. New Mexico State Athletic Director Mario Mocha, as well as Athletic Director at UTEP Jim Sinner. Mario, I want to start with you. It seems like things got really serious when we started to see mass cancellations in the sports world, and it started, of course, with college basketball. How hard has this all been for the industry?
Yeah, it's been tremendously hard, Andy. I mean, obviously there's the initial shock of it. And as we had discussed before, I mean, the decisions were so rapid. It was amazing that we went from, are we going to have fans in the tournament, to 15 minutes later in a room canceling the tournament and then scrambling to get home. And then you deal with the aftermath of all the spring sports. The Western Athletic Conference is still suspended. I'm assuming that will move to a cancellation here very soon. And then there's a million other questions from an NCAA standpoint about eligibility, about academics, about getting 400 plus student athletes home, whether it's domestic or international. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind for sure.
Mario, you stole the next question that I had, and it has to do with spring sports. I'm assuming we're not going to see any Aggie baseball, softball, whatever that may be this spring, but also bringing up the question of eligibility and these spring sport athletes not losing that year of eligibility. They'll get it back, but how tough is that going to be from an administrator standpoint, and the fact that you have seniors that you were planning on going and now they're coming back, and you also have incoming freshmen? How difficult is this going to be to sort out?
Well, I think it's going to be incredibly difficult. Today, there was a conference call with Mark Emmert, the NCAA president, and some of his top lieutenants, as well as every Division I athletic director. So we try to get as much information, and quite frankly, there's a ton of information that has not yet been decided. Yeah, it is really sad for the seniors and everybody else who plays a spring sport that was denied, you know, a conference championship run, NCAA tournaments. But when you have like a Nick Gonzalez, a lock first round draft pick, we had seen our numbers up tremendously in the sport of baseball. We are not going to have another first round draft pick, you know, maybe in our lifetimes at New Mexico State. So, you know, that's doubly hard to take. But we're going to wait and see what the NCAA comes out with. You know, you've got increased squad sizes. That means more money for scholarships. What does that do to the recruits and the freshmen that are now going to maybe wait another year to get their turn? So there's a lot of questions. And the best one might be of all is from a Title IX standpoint. If there's more men coming back than women, does that throw off the numbers?
Jim, let's get you in here. I saw that Conference USA already canceled spring sports in Conference USA, of course. How is UTEP falling in line with that and everything else that's come out over the course the last 4 or 5 days? It seems like that's also been really difficult to keep up with, and the fact that everything just keeps changing on us hour by hour.
Well, I tell you, we've been very, very fortunate that we at UTEP were able to get in 6 or 7 practices. Many of our colleagues in Conference USA schools haven't had any practices, so we feel good about the fact that we had those in. There may be some relief at the end of the year when we get into May and June, possibly. I know there are some people lobbying for spring football. We will see how this plays out. Right now, I would anticipate that we wouldn't have any further spring football, but we're evaluating this on a day-by-day basis.
Jim, what's your biggest focus right now in these unprecedented times?
Yeah, well, I would tell you it's trying to keep our student athletes calm and everything around them. Obviously, the world's been upset and turned upside down. There's lots of questions that they have, and frankly, they have more questions than we have answers to, except that we keep trying to help them understand this is about their health, their safety, and the well-being of our community, as well as trying to help them get to where they need to get academically and keep matriculating and do what we're supposed to do, which is to teach people and help them get their degree.
Jim, Mario, I thank both of you for taking the time, coming down here to the studio, providing some insight in these really, really strange times. Thank you to you both.
Thanks, Andy.
You got it. Daniel, back to you.
All right, thank you very much. And coming up, growing fears among local businesses as El Pasoans are told to hunker down as COVID-19 spreads. How business owners are hoping to ride it out. But first, here is your legal matters of the day.
KTSM 9 News Legal Matters in partnership with the law offices of Michael J. Gopin.
Hi, I'm Michael Gopin with the Legal Matters of the Day. Today I would like to discuss the statute of limitations. This is a set deadline to file your claim. In other words, if you don't file your claim by the time the statute of limitations runs, you will have no recovery and your claim will be barred forever. It's extremely important to pay attention to time deadlines like the statute of limitations. Every state has different rules for limitations. In Texas, for car or trucking accidents, it is a 2-year statute of limitations. So if you file after the 2-year deadline, it's too late and you lose your case. So I urge you to find legal representation early so you'll be protected from missing the statute of limitations. This is Michael Gopin with the Legal Matters of the Day.
KTSM 9 News Legal Matters in partnership with the law offices of Michael J. Gopin. Log on to ktsm.com/legal matters for more info. From the station putting local first, this is a KTSM 9 News special report. COVID-19 state of emergency.
Welcome back to this special edition of KTSM 9 News at 6, COVID-19 State of Emergency.
If you miss any part of this special broadcast, we're going to be posting it in its entirety on our website. That, of course, is KTSM.com. Now, with many people now staying home, some downtown El Paso store owners are worried about the spread of COVID-19 and how it's impacting their business. KTSM 9 News reporter Shelby Kapp reports.
While walking along El Paso Street in downtown, few shoppers can be seen.
Well, today it's died down. Yesterday was still a lot of people. The weekend was crazy, but today the street's empty. It's really died down quite a bit. I thought they closed the border.
And those deciding to venture out can be seen carrying toilet paper. The lack of customers worrying store owners.
It's kind of scary. People are staying home.
but some coming out to get the essentials.
There's a specific store here that just moved and they have what I need to do my job. So I said, gotta go.
It's rare that you're able to find a parking spot right in front of the store you want to go to here in downtown, but store owners say this week parking spots have been easy to find.
There's never usually spaces to park because it's a very busy street in El Paso.
The owner of Premier Uniforms in downtown is finding ways to keep his business afloat.
Call us, we'll deliver.
Saying he will deliver to your home or walk products out to your car.
If we have to close, the employees and the businesses, us, we all have bills to pay. So that's pretty rough.
And that was Shelby Cap reporting. Joining me now with the economic impact of COVID-19 is Dr. Tom Fullerton, economics professor with UTEP. He is in our green room. And also joining us is Monica Moreno with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Dante Acosta with the Small Business Administration. They will join us in just a moment, but I'll start with you, Dr. Fullerton. This caught my ear today. The Trump administration is considering sending checks to Americans immediately as part of a stimulus package. There's also a lot of other considerations being made. Do you think we are heading in the right direction as far as helping people economically?
Yes, that is a very good step that the White House has proposed in the form of sending checks directly to U.S. households. That's one of the best ways to try to minimize the damage from any type of unexpected economic downturn like that associated with COVID-19. Also, one of their best proposals has been to take all of the people who lost their health insurance over the course of the last, 4 years and the withdrawal from the Affordable Care Act to cover their hospital bills, because one of the worst things we could do to the labor force is to not pay their medical bills for all the people that are uninsured. They come down with this virus and they don't go to seek the required care. That could cause the infection rate to skyrocket. So those two steps alone are very good. They've also taken other steps to shore up the business sector, and they are trying to protect the labor force as much as possible. And in a service-oriented economy, that's critical.
All right, let's go to Monica Moreno and Dante Acosta. Monica, things are changing, constantly. Just today, El Paso City Council is shutting down bars and restaurants. Will have to be at half capacity. So what are you hearing from the business community out there?
Companies are just evaluating all angles, best case scenarios and worst case scenarios, and looking at the numbers and getting prepared for that. You can always contact the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to help work through the SBA disaster loan process.
Okay, and Dante, you're there. We're practicing social distancing, so sitting away from Monica there. But what help is there out there for small businesses who may be forced, to close their doors, or maybe they're finding it difficult to meet payroll? What help can they get?
Certainly. Well, the Small Business Administration has just recently been able to, through new legislation signed by the President last week, be able to help some of these businesses through our what we call EIDL loans, economic injury disaster loans, and those are available to small businesses that are suffering through this economic issue with the virus, and they're able to go to sba.gov/coronavirus or /disaster, either one, and they can apply for economic assistance there, up to $2 million with a 30-year repayment schedule, and they can use it for things like their rent and their utilities, and to be able to actually make payroll and keep some of their employees on staff. So we're stepping in. We also have our traditional SBA programs as well that our partners at the Chamber and others are able to assist with.
All right, Dr. Tom Fullerton with UTEP, Monica Moreno with the Hispanic Chamber, and Dante Acosta with the Small Business Administration. Thank you all for being here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, coming up here at 6, the message is simple and cannot be ignored. Everything you need to know when it comes to washing your hands properly. Again, you need to do it for 20 seconds. So important.
And we are talking about a storm system that's moving through our area. Hey, exactly when it will arrive. Up next, thanks for watching KTSM 9 News.
If you have a news story, call our hotline now, 915-533-KTSM. Reach us via social media or email us at news@ktsm.com.
Well, it's a message that we have been delivering for weeks now, and it is no less important now than the first time we told you. KTSM 9 News reporter Stephanie Shields once again delivers the simple way to combat the coronavirus. Just wash your hands.
We all might have learned how to wash our hands as kids, but health professionals say some people might not even be doing this correctly or even at all when they need to. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reminds you to wash your hands after you cough, sneeze, and use the restroom. The CDC does not currently have a vaccine to prevent the coronavirus, but proper hand washing can help. The city's health department instructs you use water, soap, and lather it completely over both hands, scrubbing for at least 20 seconds, saying the best ways to prevent any illnesses which are easily spread through the air and through touch.
Basic hygiene practices. Those are washing our hands. Don't touch our face because viruses go very fast into eyes, nose, and mouth, and then infection can start.
Although there are no official reports of the coronavirus in El Paso as of now, the city's Department of Public Health said it is getting ready to start testing here in the borderland. And if you don't have quick access to a sink and water after you cough or sneeze, health officials say you can use hand sanitizer with at least 60% of alcohol to prevent the spreading of germs. Stephanie Shields, KTSM 9 News.
And of course, we do have 3 confirmed cases now in El Paso. Experts believe the majority of those who contract the virus will experience some mild symptoms, but if we do see a spread, it's safe to say we're going to see more hospitalizations. Now today, Texas Governor Greg Abbott held a conference call with hospital CEOs and representatives across the state to talk about hospital capacity. The governor also issued a temporary waiver for hospitals to increase unused bed capacity without an application or without fees. So how are the local hospitals doing? Joining us now to speak about Del Sol Medical Center is the hospital's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Ogachika Alozi. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. First off, Del Sol put some preventative measures in place last week, right? Restricting visitor access, screening the visitors. How is that going, and are there plans to further those precautions?
Yeah, definitely. So it's going great so far. We did some enhanced screening procedures. We did it as an abundance of caution for the community, specifically asking patients and visitors when they're coming in, have they traveled? Do they have a fever? Do they feel short of breath? We've also actually resorted to temporal scanning, infrared scanning of our patients and their visitors coming in, so we can really know if somebody has a fever or not. I think what's important is that in as much as we've only had 3 cases in our community, we're trying to be as cautious as possible, not just to protect our patients, but also to protect our staff.
And a lot of people want to know what kind of preparations your hospital is making should El Paso see a widespread outbreak and we see a lot of people who need to be hospitalized. How do you all prepare?
So on a daily basis, we have calls. So whether it's nursing, environmental, security, our physician team, across the board, we have multiple calls. We have multiple what are called tabletop exercises, where we're trying to look at what we have right now, what our capacity is, how we can scale, and how we can do the best thing for our patients possible. And so we're doing all the right things right now.
Now, moving from the patients to the medical personnel, big concern. How do you protect your staff, your personnel? They are the front line against this virus.
Definitely. So protective equipment, right? So PPE, we estimate we have 2 to 3 months worth. We've made specific things so that we're removing some of that PPE from the general places and focusing on our ICU, our emergency room, and our front room staff, so that if and when this virus does continue to come across our community, we'll be prepared.
Do you all plan in the event that doctors and nurses start getting sick?
We expect that doctors and nurses will be getting sick, right? So we have an expectation anybody coming into the house is checking their temperature, is checking their symptoms at home. We have an expectation that our staff coming in are as healthy as possible. But we understand that as this virus continues to ravage the country and our community, that we will lose frontline staff, frontline nurses, frontline physicians to this, and we have contingency plans in place for that.
I wanted to talk about the testing for the virus. How exactly does COVID-19 testing work on the hospital's end? Do you all test all the patients who arrive and say that they have fevers and coughs? What's the protocol exactly?
Yeah, so again, it's a great question, but I think that the COVID testing right now is a scarce resource. And so just per CDC guidelines, what we're doing is when patients come into the hospital, do you have a fever? Have you traveled out of El Paso? Specifically, we're talking about places that are Washington, California, New York, now that they have the most cases in the country, asking them if they have a cough or a short of breath. If they do, we're then taking the necessary steps to test them for influenza, test them for strep throat. We also have a PCR test, it's called BioFire. And then when the physician believes that this patient is actually a patient under investigation, is high risk for COVID-19, we're using our connections and our engagement with the health department, again, who we have a great relationship with, to escalate to them and then say, hey, this is somebody that we feel needs to be tested, and the health department's been a great partner in this.
All right, Dr. Alozzi, Del Sol Medical Center, thank you, sir, for coming in.
Thank you very much.
All right, we do want to mention that we did reach out to University Medical Center and the Hospitals of Providence to be a part of our discussion today. We did not hear back from UMC. The Hospitals of Providence told us they were unable to provide someone this evening because they are using all hospital resources at the moment to care for patients. All right, send things over to Monica because we are still under that weather authority alert, Monica.
That's right. So we are talking about a storm system that'll slowly push in our direction. This is the one that's going to bring in some thunderstorms for tomorrow. Hour by hour forecast coming up right after this break. Thanks for watching KTSM 9 News. Good evening, everyone. Well, this is what we're doing. We're continuing to track whatever's left of this particular storm system, which isn't much for El Paso. We are staying rather clear as of now, but things are going to begin to change. So let's go ahead and time it all out hour by hour for you. So we are looking at a storm system. The first chance of rain coming in as early as around 9 o'clock, and you'll notice just a little bit of a drizzle by 10 a.m. We have a better storm system coming in from the south. This will slowly continue to push north. As that happens, we're looking at the possibility of some storms by 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So that's the first sign that we really get of this particular system moving through the El Paso and Las Cruces area. We move forward in time and we get to see another little drizzle coming in around 5 p.m. so not too bad. But the bigger storms come in around 10 p.m. and this is mainly going to be impacting Las Cruces. Do you see how strong they're lining up to be? And then by 11, everything slowly begins to move out. We could potentially see something trying to develop right over El Paso around this time, so we'll keep a close eye on it. But after that, we're pretty much done. We don't expect to see anything else from this particular system after that. Thursday, we're looking at mostly clear skies. 65 degrees, your forecast, your current temperature at the airport right now. Southerly winds moving in at about 14 miles an hour. 52 degrees, that's your forecast overnight low in El Paso. 46 in Las Cruces. This is why we're seeing these storms starting to develop for tomorrow. It's because of a cold front that's moving in. So this one not only is going to be producing windy conditions for us, it's also going to be producing some showers and of course a cool down later on this week. So for tomorrow, we'll be dropping to about 62 degrees. There's a 50% chance for some showers and a chance for an isolated storm. In Las Cruces, pretty much the same thing. 70 degrees, your forecast high. There is a better chance for some severe thunderstorms coming in tomorrow evening. Again, this is for Las Cruces. Cold front moves out of the way, brings in those cooler conditions to us, and that means we'll stay in those low 60s Wednesday and Thursday, but that also means we'll be seeing windy conditions both Wednesday and Thursday. Thursday, by the way, is our first day of spring, and we're looking at a forecast high of 63 degrees. Then we'll slowly begin to warm up Friday into the weekend. By Sunday and Monday, we're looking at those 70s windy conditions once again Monday and for much of next week. Real quickly, big shout out to our weather watcher. This is Raul Martinez. Thank you so much for allowing us to see those poppies out in the Franklin Mountains. If you'd like to be featured on KTSM 9 News, submit those beautiful weather photos to us through our social media platforms or email news@ktsm.com.
We want to thank you for joining us for this special edition of KTSM 9 News at 6.
We will see you back here at 10 o'clock. Remember, we have a full hour of news at 10 p.m. And again, if you miss any part of this special edition, we're going to be putting this broadcast on KTSM.com. Have a good evening.
Sponsored by Lachine Bias and Enderman Injury Lawyers.